And just like that, we are back over in North America. It is Dulcet and Goremizer for Snappin' versus Sanguine. Gore, this is a set where maybe Snappin' are the ones who are the favorites, despite Sanguine being the mid-season winners.
Look, I used this the last time we saw Snappin', but they are using my favorite color as their background. But, like you said, they're also 4-2, so maybe two things going in their favor. Also, sharks. My sister-in-law is very scared of sharks. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of factors for Snappin'.
Is that a good or a bad
to
thing?
To escalate to the top. Well, you don't know. We'll have to figure that out. She's also scared of apes, but that's a completely different story, maybe a tangent. Sanguine are the ones that need the win, I think, more, though. When it comes down to it, Snappin', they've been looking good, and they've been looking consistent. Sanguine haven't. I mean, they're fourth right now, right? This team was first 4 months ago, 3 months ago. Time flies when you're in quarantine. You have no idea how long it's been since the summer tournament. But the fact that they are falling so far behind after being on top of the world, literally, is a sign that they really need to start racking up some wins here in NA.
Yeah, and Sanguine have shown some of that improvement. I think Hero, a good swap, definitely has some of that veteran mindset here, so something for Sanguine, I think, to hold on to. As we move into Splitstone Quarry, picks and bans, rather, for Splitstone Quarry for game number 1. Gore, we saw what Rom can do if left unchecked, so he'll get banned out here. Genos left open, first overall pick. What do you make of the Torvald ban, though? Something, visually that looks normal because of how often he was banned out last year, but maybe not so much here in the current meta.
So your Ruckus bans in Europe? That's your Torvald bans in North America, right? Where it's just like there's this one pick that in a certain region people have been playing it, and they've been playing it to an excellent degree where it deserves to be banned. I think that's really what this is. He's Genos Part 2, right? He's a support. He's going to be giving you good shielding. He's going to give you a damage boost. He is going to be a nuisance because of what he can bring to the table. And I think we got to see it last week on Friday where we got to see a Genos Torvald Bomb King where Poison, went like I think 24-9 or something ridiculous like that. I mean, it was
bad, huh?
insane how much it worked out for him. I think it was Sanguine, that locked that in up against Team Project. So I think that's just a good ban all in all from Snappin'.
The overall, I think, definitely makes some sense here. The rest, not all that surprising, really, I think, from Sanguine here. They've got some good staying power with that Terminus. The very conditional backline dive with that assert dominance from the Ashe, and then, of course, shoulder bash on level ground will get you back there a little bit more consistency. And Androxus for the playmaking ability, I think I'd really enjoy for Sanguine as well. But the Tiberius, that might be a wrench in the mix.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I was sold on Sanguine winning, right, outright. I mean, that's 4 insanely strong picks that they have picked up.
Right.
And granted, Sanguine have a lot of really good ones on their side, too, so there's something to be mentioned there. Up until Tiberius. I'm not fully sold on Tiberius. I've seen Tiberius win exceedingly. I've seen Tiberius lose exceedingly. And so I want to see which side we're going to get today, right? Where he's going to fall. But Andro, Vivian, Term, Ashe, Damba, all of those very good on a map like this for Splitstone. I think this is going to be a solid Sanguine game. I think Snappin', though, have a little bit higher ceiling potential, depending, again, on the Tiberius we get with this triple DPS that they're bringing in.
Well, it's really just one win that separates these two squads. Is it going to be Snappin' that can continue their reign towards the top, not at the top, but towards the top of North America? Or maybe Sanguine start to get some winning momentum on their side. The final set of the day over here in North America. Splitstone Quarry will kick us off. Sanguine versus Snappin'. And I think, Gore, maybe it's Sanguine that feel a little extra pressure to start performing at this point. I mean, there's still games left to go, of course, here in the PPC. But as far as seeding and end of season, World Championships, all of that fun stuff, you want to start peaking at the right time, so Sanguine may be feeling a little pressure.
Yeah, this is definitely the moment. Again, I think, at the end of the road, you really do just have to have one phenomenal weekend in order to win something like a World Championship. But you have to get there, and you can only get there through consistency at the beginning of the day. So a lot of pressure, I think, onto but Sanguine more than anything to start to escalate and rise up in the ranks from where they have been. Because, I mean, look at it. That's a good 5-man roster. Quick maybe has the most left to prove, right, as the one name on this that hasn't had a long history in the scene at the top level of play and has been mentioned at the top. But everybody else on Sanguine is history.
Oh, Gogurt says thank you to the tune of a triple kill. What even happens there? He's just left alone. turns around and finds some low HP targets in behind him. And now it's dire for Snappin'. Sanguine were on the point that entire time, 75%. It's Snappin' left back and respawning. And they're going to have to work their way around the corner towards Gogurt, who's just waiting on this Vivian for another target to be whittled down that health bar. Hero, though, unable to power siphon away enough of the damage there, so the Terminus now down. Bauer Steve doing some good sustaining, but with Woodknock falling, Gore, it's tough for Snappin'. It looks like Sanguine grabbed point number 1.
And just being able to stand there, Baller Steve doing what he does best, and he's throwing 3-pointers with those snakes from the back line, looking for any kind of stuns that he can find. But either way, yeah, so like you said, Sanguine just looked good from there. And as much as I want to say, I think a lot of that early percentage is because Gogurt gets, like you said, left alone with a 70-round clip and no one looking at him. That's always going to end up looking good for you if you're playing Vivian. I think there's a little bit to be said that Zen didn't really get to find his way into the fight at any point there. Same thing for Victor. They never really got their momentum started for Snappin' up until now. And so we're finally starting to see Stigma and crew start to pick up some of that ground that they were lacking. But you could argue it's too late. I mean, at this point, you can stall this push as long as you want, but the best you're going to get out of this is a tie. So they still have a little bit of work to do.
Oh, Poisoned, though, is going to soften up the backline of the Snappin' defense. The Accursed Arm is going to be good here. Sanguine, they looked near unstoppable. There was a slight bit of pushback as you were talking about it, Gore, but then the well-timed ultimates from the rest of Sanguine are really going to work their way into the Snappin' base here. Gogurt has not sprung out the Sentinels just yet, but the extra damage from the Vivian will soon join the rest of the map. A minute left. Snappin' still a lot of space to defend.
Yeah, I mean, this is gone, I want to say, faster than anyone's too comfortable with on Splitstone. They're still in a good position to defend. This is a map that is built with a lot of defenses, and this is maybe the strongest portion of it, where it's right outside the base. But I mean, already having to expend at least one ult, that's 2 ults that they've dropped now just to continue this, and they only got 1 kill out of it. I don't know, the momentum still feels like it's rising with Sanguine. It's just making sure, again, they can kind of plant their heels in the dirt and push back this team that is pretty impressive as of this map so far.
Well, this is really tough now. The surviving members of Sanguine kind of grouped together. Not ideal there, but it's an assert dominance to slow down the fight here. Stigma not able to turn in time. That means he won't find the kill. Quick is going to put down Reincarnated. And now 23 seconds left on the push. Snappin' slightly staggered out. 5 seconds left on one of the respawns. Payload is going to move itself just a little bit closer. Woodknock makes his way down to contest the cart here. Half HP wall goes up to separate the fight just a little bit further. Quick's got a kill. So does Hero. In goes the cart, and Sanguine will not be denied.
I mean, that is, again, just good kills, good pressure. I think they just get as aggressive as they can. That, I think, is the hallmark of a team that you can tell is, for the most part, winning very handily is when the supports are able to go untouched. Although I should note Bones on the other side, able to dodge and weave throughout all those bullets as well and manages to walk through this one unscathed. So Snappin', even though it's very overwhelming, I think they did a somewhat decent job of stalling. You could tell where their lapse in their team is, though, and Sanguine were able to kind of pick that apart. Evil Eye 0 and 3, Woodknock's 1 and 5. If Reincarnated and Evil Eye aren't going to be consistent enough, then this round is going to be maybe just more of a repeat. And that's the problem. I like Tiberius. I love the fact that Evil Eye keeps bringing it out as well. I'm just not sold on it. I think he has a place, and unfortunately right now it's not quite at the top of the list.
Yeah, it's been quiet from Evil Eye outside of the start of the game where he was able to do some decent damage there, but haven't seen much from the Tiberius. Eyes have really been on Stigma on this Victor to find some space to do good damage here. Sanguine right back onto the point, 42% for the squad. As Snappin' up from the high ground are going to look to re-engage here. No point capture percentage, though, for themselves yet. Into the backline goes one. That's a Dread Serpent as well. Oh, but the peel is there. Somehow, everyone on Sanguine left alive except the Barrage has something else in mind. Baller Steve eats a couple of the rockets, and Stigma's got himself a double kill, but Gore, the pressure still mounting for Sanguine, 75%.
I mean, this is just the good control. I think having Ash Terminus is making this so much easier for them. Unfortunately, now Woodknock still low, even with a good seismic crash, and what looks like it should be a good turnaround for Snappin'. They have a lot of room to catch up. Luckily, comeback mechanics going to help them.
That's right, and with Wood not getting a kill,
gotta get
things
on.
may be a little bit more comfortable here. Yes, so you gotta get in there. Woodnock able to waltz his way in. His hero has gone down. Most of the immediate point tank contest is missing from Sanguine here, but Covert's still on a tear on this Vivian. Reincarnated finally is going to be an answer to it, but Poison's got a double kill. Tries to return some damage. Reversal for counter. Traded out. You got to dive into the backline. Grab the kill. Hero the whirl away. Reincarnated so low. Just one poke of damage, and Poison's got it. A soft 3 down the stretch. Woodnock trapped into the corner. There's the spray from Hero, and Sanguine will get point 3.
As someone who has been that Inara player, I know that feeling where you're just like, look, I did everything I could. I'm on the point, and I've expended my ult, I've expended my abilities, my wall is up, but there's no one here to help me. This is all I can do is stand here and unfortunately wait until my doom comes near. And for Woodnock, I think it's great that he buys that time. Unfortunately, his team unable to do anything to clap back. And again, it feels like he's taken a little bit of the brunt of the damage, right, being the front line. There just hasn't been enough from the back line to really alleviate that pressure from him. And so we're already at a point where just under 2 minutes left, and this payload's 2/3 of the way through. They're looking like it could be a 4-0 for Sanguine.
Yeah, the water's starting to stir now in the back of the Snappin' base. If Snappin' has lost, it hasn't necessarily been this convincingly. They've put up a fight on effectively every map they've played, but Sanguine had something else in mind coming in to Splitstone Quarry here. Big ultimates ready to go for Snappin'. Just on the cusp are a few of the Sanguine ultimates, but it's a 2-for-1 trade. Likely that spells the end of this offensive push, unless Quick maybe tries to keep going here. Look at the space that Quick is buying. You've gotten rid of the Snappin' healer. Not a kill, but a TKO, but unfortunately, you'll end up trading out your life for it.
Well, it's getting staggered out as well, which is going to be a little unfortunate. Only a 5-second spawn time, which I think is mainly because of how long he's going to have to run to get back here. So good zone, good control from Snappin'. They also have 5 ults. But, Dave, I mean, this has been so oppressive, so quick from Sanguine that one good Dread Serpent, one good Accursed Arm is really the only thing I think separating them and potentially being able to push this one in. They're about to have assert dominance, just a second away from being able to get the Sentinels as well, so damage is about to come out readily for Sanguine.
Yeah, look at the Dread Serpent into the backline. Poison wraps around the left side, gets the kill onto Evil Eye. Still a flank potential here. Stigma chasing Accursed Arm. Free damage into the backline. Snappin' getting decimated. They didn't even have a chance to use 3 of the ultimates on the back end of it. A full-on wipe outside of Evil Eye, who's now respawned, but I don't think the Tiberius is going to do much better at contesting the payload. That is a quick one, about a 9.5-minute game, and Sanguine take game 1.
That's one of the fastest Splitstone Quarries that I've been a part of in a while. I mean, that was incredibly fast from Sanguine. And, Dave, let me tell you, like, Sanguine, especially in Phase 1, or I'm sorry, Snappin', especially in Phase 1, a very important distinction, were incredibly bipolar in their play. They would have some days where they would make, teams like Sanguine just look sloppy, and, they'd push them to 5 and inevitably end up still losing, but they would at least put up a good fight. And then they'd have some days where you are wondering where they were because, you just didn't get to see the same level of play. This feels much more like the latter half, at least this game did, than the prior half. But I think that maybe is less up to Snappin', maybe a little bit there in draft, but more just Sanguine. I mean, having stellar games. I had said this earlier when I was casting with Finch, but Accursed Arm, at least for an Andro, usually it's just good for 1 kill. If you're really lucky and the circumstances line up, maybe you find 2, but I feel like that's become much more few and far between. But at the very end there, I think that's a good showcase for how far ahead Sanguine are, that they get a double kill with an Accursed Arm. Gogurt starts this off with a triple kill. The fact that they're able to consistently find this amount of level of play, I think is just Sanguine finally finding their route again, right? Because the first half of this phase, there were some roster changes. Quick is a new face here, Hero joining them as well. Things were shifted around for Sanguine as a whole and trying to kind of resettle. It feels like they've settled now, and it's settled into a very nice-looking picture at that.
They've got a tall task, though, to take another couple off of Snappin', though if Game 2, rather, goes the same as Game 1, this one could be back-to-back quick sets to round out the day. Sanguine thrilled with the way this one has started off. It just seemed like there was more consistent damage, I think, from Sanguine that game. I always say, and I admire the creativity. I always have and I always will with bringing the Tiberius in. Maybe you throw a wrench into the mix, make Sanguine question how things are going to play, but just hasn't been that consistent over the edge. I mean, a 71% win rate might tell a different story, but I think you worded it very well. It's like, yeah, you know, he wins a decent bit, but also has that potential to just get blown out of the water, and that's exactly what we saw in game number 1. So I'm not sure if Jaguar Falls is another place where Snappin will feel comfortable to take the Tiberius. Something to keep our eyes out for, maybe.
Yeah.
But it would be tough. A tough decision, maybe, to bring back the Tiberius after game 1.
This is another map where there's close corridors where you can get a lot of ricochets, maybe extra damage off because of that bounce. So I think there's a little bit more merit to bringing him out here, and I think that could be pretty helpful. I also think that Snappin are maybe playing with fire here. They banned the Bomb King Vivian, but I'm still looking at Torvald enabled. And that's the thing that I'm starting to wonder, right? If you get this picked up, Bomb King in there as well, or I guess with Bomb King gone, you could pair it with a Xin, you could pair it with something like a Koga, Victor. Either way, it's going to be, I think, good looks for Sanguine. Unless Snap and take it away, I highly anticipate that happening for him, picking up at least Torvald and then having someone they pocket.
Well, Snappin do take away the 14-kill performer from game number 1, and that's the Androxus. So make sure that one doesn't fall to poison once more. And then a Victor as well. A lot of the 1-2 punch was just, the consistency was the word I used there, just too consistent in game 1. The Vivian Andro was just too strong, I think, in setting up kills for Sanguine. So Snappin have something similar, but a Victor instead of the Vivian this time around, and Vivian's banned. So a small advantage there for sure for Snappin. It is the Torvald that makes his way through here, Goremizer, and then Terminus as well. Maybe lots of shielding and amplification for Snappin to fight through.
And I really like this. Torvald already gives people what feels like a secondary life, right? Now you have Terminus, who has a literal secondary life, and they keep themselves in a position where they can counterpick their last 2 DPS, so they can see much more of Snappin's lineup when they lock in those carries for them. I think if, you know, Snappin did a good job banning Bomb King here, and if that came through, then I'd be able to call this game immediately and say, okay, yep, poison on Bomb King, it's easy peasy, done. But now there is that you know, tentative level of play. Kind of depends on what they want to bring in. Koga, again, is someone that we've seen played on this map with success. I think with the Torvald Genos behind him, as well as the iframes that he brings into the game, is someone who's very safe, and it's weird bringing him out, again, with all the other, I think, picks that have fit into that lineup. It's weird to think Koga, but I think maybe even weirder to think Skye. She's not picked up often, in fact, not at all so far this phase in North America. But I'm going to tell you, if she's going to frag out, this is the game, right? Like, she's got some easy targets on the other side for Snappin to lock down, a shield to help get her out, Genos buff to help make sure that her damage that's already incredibly oppressive is even more oppressive. It's going to be whether or not Victor can kill her fast enough.
And now there's a Willow locked in as well for Snappin. There seem to be some answers. This is maybe one, Gore, where you look at this Sanguine draft. In early is maybe where this squad wins, but once some of the wreckers, the late game maybe starts to tilt through, Torvald can fall off as the later these games go on. Maybe Sanguine looking to swing themselves early here in game number 2.
This is one of those games that it's either a 4-0 for Sanguine or a 4-3 for Snappin, right? Like, it feels like Sanguine are going to just demolish them early on. This draft is going to be very impressive. But like you said, as time goes on, as long as Snappin are able to at least, you know, slow down the burn a little bit, they'll be able to prolong things, get credits online, buy things not only like that Wrecker, but maybe you'll want a Haven or two to deal with the Skye. She's actually going Smoke and Dagger here. So it's instead of maybe being the super oppressive percentage damage that you're usually used to, and maybe some anti-heal that you're usually used to in there, you're instead going to be looking at some extra healing that Goger's going to have here. Think of it like Moji, but I don't even know if I want to use the term better. I guess now better because of where Moji has been nerfed to, but you know, in the past, this is kind of the style she would go to. I guess Moji, but stealth is the way this is going to look a little bit more. It's still going to be able to burn through this Inara and, well, pretty much everybody on the side of Snappin.
Yeah, a little extra healing, a little extra team utility off the top is always going to be a good thing for the Sanguine team, and you can see it paying off already mid-fight number 1. Those Snappin' got themselves onto the point first. Literally nothing else goes the way of Snappin' right off the bat. And Sanguine are now already positioning themselves for the next bit of stalling and some dismounts.
That was a blink and you miss it kind of fight, and this feels like it's going to be a blink and you miss it point. I mean, they're getting dismounted so far away, and even if you don't get this kill, but Gogurt looks like they're going to be able to at least find one here with this positioning. Anara is not going to be able to get there in time. I mean, she is slow, and when I say slow, I mean really slow. And so, unfortunately for Snappin', they lose one and just can't get back in.
Yeah, unfortunate now. Gogurt just been whittling away at Woodknock. And finally, the Inara will go down. But now the doors have been open. It's a double kill for Gogurt, a triple. We're on the left-hand side. He had a triple in game 1. He's got a quad here in game number 2. You leave this Sky unchecked for even just a moment, and she'll rip through those health bars. Snappin' left wondering what just happened.
All right, now, granted, it's been a while since I was in school. But based on what I've learned, a triple kill in game 1, quadra kill in game 2 means that in game 3, Gogurt has to get a pentakill or he's kicked from the team. Now, I don't know if that's in the contract or not. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check. We'll have to see what Sanguine has going for him. That is just, again, incredible coming down from him. And to be so consistent, especially on a pick that, I mean, literally, it's our first game of the phase. We're so many weeks in, and she's just not getting picked up. There's usually a reason for that, and it's just that Sky is so inconsistent. But with this kind of comp around her, she doesn't have to worry about it. Who cares about her? Her damage is going to be free because she can't die.
Yeah, she's just chilling in the back and has been this entire game, an 8 streak, second highest in the game. Faith Light now used by Snappin' to try to slow down this payload. Will assist Stigma and grabbing a kill, and now another for Bones as well. So Hero eventually takes a tumble. Definitely the counter-punch potential of Evil Eye on this Willow is definitely something that's important to look at here. One Faith Light makes all the difference.
That's the thing that I love about that ult. I love about Will. Although I don't know if we're going to see too much of it. I mean, with Faith Light now being down, like, it's been a good stabilizer. But I'm not really sold on the defense here just yet. Sanguine not only are going to be able to make it back in time, but they already feel like they're getting that grip. With that kill onto Stigma, you need some big ults from Snappin', and it doesn't seem like they're coming through just yet. Yeah,
through time and space, no good. Scout used. Slowed down the fight maybe a little bit, but suddenly Sanguine pressing down on the gas. Gogurt, his second now in the fight. Into the back line, he's found himself whittling away the health bar. Woodknock time bomb down. Avoided a little bit of the damage as the Inara, but nobody else from Snappin's going to be in range. Now 6 straight points for Sanguine.
I mean, that is... I want to say this game may be kind of written because of the draft, and when you, look up and see Gogurt at 4-1, or 6-1 and 6, and Hero at 4-2 and 2, you're usually recognizing that things are going to go well. And if you were wondering what happens when you double damage amp one Sky, oh, that's it. And then you throw a little bit over there to Poison. Like, he gets the scraps of the damage amp while Gogurt is getting the main course, right? Everybody is making sure that he's going to come through. There's a victor in this game, and you wouldn't have guessed it because he is 4th from the bottom in terms of damage. I think that maybe underlines even more how just oppressive Sanguine are. And, like, that's the only word. I keep going back to it and using it, maybe overusing it at this point. But it's just because that's the only way I can describe this. I mean, we don't even get to see Snappin' play a lot of Paladins. It's not, what are they doing wrong? Where's the issue? Sanguine are just not giving them the opportunity to even make a mistake. They're shredding them apart.
And then the immediate question is if Sky is going to be doing this to you time and time and time again, Illuminate then comes to mind. It's a value item for its cost here at this point, especially with the Sky fighting into you. 3 members of Snappin' have locked in at least 1 tier of it. So maybe that is where this game starts to shift. Obviously, the Wrecker important to look at as the game swings on. The Illuminate will be important as well. So Sanguine Gore, I think, doing what we expected them to do through the first couple of points, but if Snappin' can slow this game down, that's a big if, maybe the tides start to turn.
That's the thing. You highlighted the what the necessities they have, right? The 2 items they need. But the problem, underlying is it's 2 items. And ideally, you're getting both of them to Tier 2, Tier 3. That's a lot of credits that you have to then spend, and they're not getting it, at least as of right now. Going down 2-0,
right.
You've got virtually nothing. Comeback mechanic is there, though. And remember, 300 credits per player if you can capture the mid. So Snappin' in a good position to try and turn it around. But when you're up against Skye, you absolutely have to have that Illuminate. Otherwise, she's going to run away. But without that, the Wrecker, I don't know if seeing her is going to be enough.
Right, it's 4 Illuminates now going into this mid-fight for Snappin'. Pretty contested, though, right off the bat. Couple checkerboard kills. Red and blue down the right, or the kill feed of the screen. So Sanguine definitely have won some engagements, but Snappin' still right in it up to this point. It's 58%. Snappin' getting close to that Fae Flight. Remember, Evil Eye threw that one out. Definitely made the big difference on the defense. Until Sanguine regrouped themselves. All Hyper Beam attempts to get Stigma off of the map. Won't work out this time around. Hero Power Siphon trying to save his life. Will do so just for a little bit longer. There's the up-down. Will he use the reanimate? The answer is yes this time around. Barrage, though, around the right-hand side. But talk about the backline dive from Poison to finally get rid of the victor here. Snappin', though, finding the important kills. They've got a little bit more kill pressure immediately, and Reincarnated with a double will just confirm that. It looks like Snap and Gore maybe have won themselves the mid.
You get one good explosive fight, and as long as you have that with comeback mechanic, usually that's enough for you. But look at this grouping. I actually like it. Sanguine should be able to touch. It's going to be close. Whew.
And overtime is on. But overtime will end up falling down nonetheless. There was an attempt. It was close, but Snappin' hold themselves on here. The ultimates maybe didn't quite connect for Sanguine in the same way that they had up to this point, so Snappin' importantly able to answer back. And now their composition, Gore, gets a good chance at walking their way into the Sanguine team. So this is maybe an awkward spot for the Skye with everyone running into you. You might not have the same freedom to kind of find these flanks, but Gogurt is going to make me eat my words. Reincarnated goes down, and so does Bones.
I think that's just exactly what you would expect. And again, this is what when I talk about comeback mechanic points that are won, this is where I start to, I don't know, just shuffle a little bit, or I get a little uneasy because you won the point, and it's how much was it the game helping you out, how much of it was you getting the win, right? And right now, Snappin' maybe showing the game helping them a little bit more than them earning it as much, right? They're slowing down, saying when they finally get a point knocked off. That's actually something that's probably huge in terms of everything. But it doesn't feel like they're winning, especially not right now. They're getting shredded just outside their base.
Yeah, my God, it just seems like a matter of time in these fights until Gogurt is just kind of let off and a triple kill. On the back end of a quad, there is a back that really is just the small more. Let free, let roam, just if you let the enemy go on cooldown, that's when you can walk in and make a big difference. It's a quad and then a triple kill now down the stretch for Gogurt.
And I think this is something, yeah, like you said, playing around the right abilities, knowing what's up, what's not, for Gogurt is perfect. And that showcases more than the way Sanguine are communicating right now. It's a lot. If you've ever played in the game, if you've been Torvald, if you've been Genos, to pocket one person so consistently that they have a good performance, there's actually a lot that goes into making sure that you get vision on them, especially at this level of play, one from Gogurt or anybody on his team, and it all starts to fall apart, right? So it feels like a well-oiled machine as of right now that I think is helping them keep going. And I think part of that communication is, hey, they just used blank, blank, blank. Go, go, go. Like, jump in, get in there. Like, as long as Gogurt's fine, he's going to be perfect with it. And what's great is their performance is eclipsing Poison, but in a good way, right? Like, we're not talking a lot about Poison, not because Poison's doing poorly, but because Gogurt is the flashy front man right now for Sanguine. Yep. But because of that, Snappin' are so concerned about Skye. They're investing into Illuminate because of Skye. They're looking to try and kill Skye at the beginning of every fight. So until she's dead, Poison is getting a lot of free damage off and is able to kind of sit comfortably in the back line while, just getting off some good Cassie bolts.
You do see what happens when Gogurt eventually falls down. Damn, Baller Steve nearly gets away there. but the last shot from Woodknock weaves its way through. Now getting very close as the payload here reincarnated in a cursed arm, maybe to further extend out this fight here. Sanguine back and respawning. Really one final chance for the Sanguine squad on defense. Poison finds the opening kill onto Evil Eye. Woodknock makes his way around the back end. It's a double kill for the Cassie from the back line of the Sanguine base here. Reanimate from Hero is going to be used right onto the payload. That'll keep Sanguine in this fight a little bit longer. Poison with his third on the defensive end. Snappin' separated out. It looks like they might have to get themselves disengaged out from the rest of this fight. It really was just Woodknock there towards the end, Gore, hanging himself as the last line of defense. As Sanguine, they have to spend some ultimates, but it looks like they were worthwhile.
Yeah, again, when you're able to knock down what feels like the front line, it's just enough to, again, keep Sanguine consistently ace and continually locking down your DPS. They're distracted, they're busy dealing with Sky, and unfortunately if Woodknock isn't able to get forward for Snappin', nobody's going to be able to get up there and contest. Right. And I think that's what's been giving them a lot of control over the mid points. Even there, when you know the comeback mechanics enabled for Snappin', Sanguine put up a good percentage. I think we can expect that even going further in this game, and honestly in this set if it keeps going that way, because that's how it felt in Game 1 as well, where it just felt like Woodknock unfortunately didn't have much to surround him with in terms of pressure. And now it's kind of the opposite. The back line doesn't have enough front line in order to get them there. But either way, it just doesn't seem like Snappin' are all on the same page.
It does feel that way. Sanguine were able to defend that point there. No surprise. The majority of what we saw was the rest of Snappin' kind of falling by the wayside there. And once Woodknock was left alone, basically written on the walls what was going to happen there towards the end. And then, Gore, I think the most important thing to look at, you know, maybe a little hyperbole on my part, really the only ultimate that had to get used there, I say only, it won't be up for this mid-fight, is the Reanimate from Sanguine. Through Time and Space will be up shortly here as well. So Sanguine, I think, happy with the value of the one ultimate they spent.
Yeah, I think it's weird because that is one of the best ultimates in my eyes in terms of Paladins and having around a mid-fight. But also, I mean, if you're going to have a Hyper Beam, a Scout, you have the Time Bomb, plus soon enough you'll have the Through Time and Space. I don't think you're too stressed out about having to use that, especially with the way things are going. You're up 3-1. Hero shouldn't have too bad of a round.
Gogurt is going to find his way in the back. Oh, the Time Bomb works its way through the wall. Oh, he's gotten the detonate, I think, on Evil Eye as well. If not, the damage got it done elsewhere. Now Poison free and clear to waltz his way into the back. Another triple kill for Sanguine, but this time it's the Cassie. What a sweeping fight there from the blue squad. Snapping. They're back and respawning. They need to go now to contest.
Yeah, this is going to be the hard part. How do you get through this without getting dismounted? And if you don't get dismounted, how do you get back to the payload with your life?
Oh, no.
They're going to be able to touch. They get at least to the point. Unfortunately, it's not looking comfortable, especially with Evil Eye going down before he can get the Faith Light off.
Yeah, no Reincarnated, no Evil Eye here. Woodknock is just going to have to buy as much time as possible, but Bones is going to fall down. So a lot of the healing now missing. Double kill down the stretch from Hero and Sanguine. They drop 1 point. But it's the only point they drop, and now they're up 2-0 in the set. Chance to win it in Game 3.
Now I'm starting to wonder if we're getting back to that Sanguine that we had in Phase 1, where dropping a point is like the only mark we can start making against them, right? Where we're like, well, I don't know, you dropped a point, maybe you're getting a little sloppy here, right? Because it feels like everything else was clean. There's only so much to really tear apart, and even then, the point they dropped wasn't as much their fault. You know, you lose one pretty big fight, good ult usages from Snappin' to make sure they get that one. But they just don't seal the deal anywhere else. I don't know where you want to look. The 3-9, the 4-9, or unfortunately for Reincarnated. I don't want to throw you under the bus, man, but it's kind of hard not to. 3-12-5 there for the Andro. It felt, especially now looking at the slash lines, like that was stripping it away from Sanguine and not so much picking it because you were going to rock it.
Right, and then both of the damage dealers for Sanguine above the double digits in kills and low single digits in deaths. I mean, it really is almost the perfect execution of the draft that Sanguine had brought to the table. This man, Gogurt, turns his way around and melts down the quad here. That's an easy cleanup on the first fight, and that really got the cart rolling to put Sanguine in a position to capture point number 2. But then he does it again, and it just seems like Snappin' weren't able to walk away from any of these multi-kills. Poison down the stretch gets a triple as well. It's tough to fight into what Sanguine drafted.
And the thing that really gets me here for Sanguine is no one else is playing Sky. It's not like this was, oh, he just happened to get this, unique.
Right.
Well, it's not like he got this pick where it's like, oh, yeah, it's just another Victor, another Vivian. Right. It's like he reached very deep into a unique Gogurt-only pick that we've seen work only for Gogurt in the past. And lo and behold, it works still for Gogurt at the end of the day. So I'll have to see, I guess, if they can keep that pace up. Other picks like that, in my mind, are things like the Moji. I think on Jag Falls, that's where that flexibility for Gogurt can really come out. So the next couple of maps, well, depending on if we could get there, Snap and put up a fight, are going to maybe determine that pace more than anything.
Well, we'll at least get one more map, and then Sanguine are going to be the ones, and Snappin', of course, going to be the ones to determine if we get the next couple down the stretch. Sanguine 1 win away from taking this set. We will take a quick break. We'll be right back. Apologies for the break, everyone. Gormizer didn't seem to mind that at all. He's dreaming of killing some demons or something over there. We think of everything sorted out, so we'll be able to jump back into what has been an exciting set if you're a Sanguine fan up to this point.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're coming in as a Sanguine fan, you're more than excited, right? Because, again, they've been middle of the standings. They've been taking games off Project and Flashpoint, who, again, maybe surprising everybody, are also at the bottom of the standings. And so you're just kind of like, man, they're not doing as well as we would have hoped. Well, now they come in, and they're taking on the number 2 team in North America right now. They slap them with a 4-0. They slap them with a 4-1. Honestly, Dave, with that kind of momentum, I wouldn't be too surprised if they slap them with maybe a 4-2 if they're following the trend, but ultimately a win here, no matter what.
I think the important thing as well to look at is Sanguine has now gotten wins in 2 sort of different ways. You build this Torvald Genos composition around the sky, and you drop a single point. Game number 1, a little bit more traditional Sanguine-esque style of play. You get the win there as well. So definitely something I think that shows some flexibility and something to be happy about if you're a Sanguine fan moving forward. Now Snappin', they need to win 3 back-to-back-to-back in order to not only get back into the set, just to win the set. At this point, you lose, you're out. Interesting ban, though, Gore. The Terminus taken away. You think that's worthwhile here on Stone Keep?
I think so, and honestly, I think it's just because Hero was so oppressive on Jag Falls with it. It's one of those bans that, again, I'm not sure that Snappin' are banning out what the real problem was. I think their first map ban of the Torvald made a lot of sense, because I think Sanguine are going to be more than happy to run back right to it here if things continue going their way. So, realistically, they ban out 2 little problem childs, I think, that exist, but with Corvus and Genos being gone, supports start to become the question. I think Sanguine have a pretty wide pool of supports to pull out. Same thing for Snappin', but you're looking at maybe your Yings, your Furia, because she's been big in North America lately. Grover has been pretty decent, and I think I love Grover more than anybody on this map because of some of the saves I've seen Vex make in the past, so I'm always sold on that. And so it becomes the question of what style you want to play if you're Sanguine here to keep up the pace. You've already lost the Vivian, but I think the ball is still in their court right now.
And in Androxus, I think a smart and strong answer back by Sanguine here. Poison put up, what, 14 kills or something like that in game number 1 on Splitstone Quarry. Hard to keep up with that, to be sure. But I think something that at least gives Sanguine that potential moving into the game here. Strix has been another popular ban or pick, and in this case, it's going to be the latter. 70% win rate being put to the test, Gore. You got some dive into the backline for this Androxus, and then some confirmed damage there from the Strix. I mean, you look at the way that can flow. Either Strix sets up a kill, that Andro one-taps, or vice versa.
Man, I actually think it's going to be vice versa. I think Strix is going to set up Andro. I think Poison is going to be able to very consistently get into the backline and very consistently cause a lot of trouble for Snappin'. I think Strix is going to be able to find his own kills. He's going to dump a lot of damage into the Inara, which is going to be easy for him on a map like this. But I think otherwise he's going to hit Vivian in her toes, and then Andrew's going to get right behind that shield and maybe finalize the kill, right? I think that's really where the 1-2 step is going to come together for Sanguine. Poison on this Andro has been just a menace in the past, and I expect to see Poison running it here just because of how good it has been for them. And most of the time I'm remembering it, it's on Stone Keep that it's looked the best. So I'm excited to watch this one. Even though I think, what was it? I think last week they ran the Bomb King Torvald Genos comp twice. This was the second map they ran it on. And as much as I'd love to see something like that, it doesn't seem like they're going to pull it out for us.
Ashe, strong backline dive as well. The Fernando Ashe, definitely a strong pairing. Now, Gore, Khan, despite a 62% win rate, not a pick we see all that often. Only 30% in that pick rate column. Obviously, some changes around the off tanks has made him a little bit less maybe ideal in the eyes of some of these teams. But Snappin's still confident enough in what Khan brings to lock him in a do-or-die situation.
I think against Ashe, there's two picks that are always going to be very solid. Khan's one of them, Makoa's the other. Anyone who can pull her out of her ult is going to feel a little bit more confident. But I also think Khan into Fernando, even though it's not the end-all be-all that it used to be, is still a really, really good counter matchup that you're going to be able to have some control over if you're snapping here. As far as their draft goes, I think at least in dealing with the front lines, they've got a really good draft for it. It's then consistently getting to Strix and Andro that I'm a little worried about in terms of consistency and doing it, every time they need to. But Cassie, Vivian are both very solid backlines. It's just how well they deal with dive, and honestly, the answer to that is going to be great. I think Andro is going to have a hard time here.
I think so as well. But on the flip side of that one, sometimes all it takes is a Strix to be hitting his shots a little bit too consistently, and suddenly your game plan goes out the window. It is do or die for the number 2 seed over in North America. Snappin', they've only gotten a single point up to this point here in this set. Sanguine, I think, getting back to maybe some of their old ways. Stone Keep where the Sanguine squad can complete the 3-0, get themselves back up in those standings a little bit higher. Everyone chasing Pickled Pepper, of course, in this region. But it'll be a fun one to watch nonetheless, Score, and I think my eyes are on Gogurt.
Gogurt, Poison, and I think Stigma. Evil Eye, I want to say I'm keeping my eye on, but it's also a little difficult to say so just because of the fact that, again, very polarizing. Sometimes this guy, even throughout the last couple of years, has had the game-winning performance. Hand down, MVP, wins the set for his team. And sometimes he comes through and you're not entirely sure what you're going to be getting. So far today has been the latter. So this Cassie has potential, but I think you're going to have to look towards the Vivian to be the most consistent of the two.
That's true. The Vivian has a lot of weight to carry for the Snappin' squad, and finding kills and damage in the backline. Evil Eye opening kill here with the Cassie. Down goes Hero. Poison is trying to make some waves now for his squad, but he immediately has to throw up the reversal. Into the church he goes. Evil Eye takes decent damage, rolls himself away. Interesting position, Gore. I think from the Strix here, they've sent him all the way on weird bit of like a flanking mission almost around behind Snappin'. He's gotten a kill, but immediately falls down. Snappin' look a little bit more comfortable on the first mid-fight.
I mean, this is, again, it's a good kind of just plant yourself and don't move draft, if anything, from Snappin', right? Nothing on this screams aggression. Nothing screams in your face, lock you in base, win the game because of that. it just screams, you can't kill us, can't move us, you're not going to do anything. Like you cannot get rid of us. We are an infestation on the point, and you need a better exterminator than just what I'm going to say is I don't know, a paper towel and a boot for Sanguine right now. They need something more to be able to take care of what is going on Snappin'.
Gore, you're brave. Paper towel and a boot is nowhere near enough. If I see a cockroach or a spider or something, I'm going the opposite way. I need more.
Well, let's be honest. If I see a cockroach, I send it Katie. I don't go in. Katie is the designated bug killer.
Fair enough. Yeah, my roommates get the job done for me, where I definitely fall a little bit short in that category. In other news, Snappin', they've gotten the job done on the first mid-fight of the game. Now, their second point in the set, and they're starting to make some waves on the defensive end. Sanguine is not held up at all. Really just the Androxus left alive. That's Poison trying to trade out on the backside of the fight, but the longer he's left out, the less time he's there helping contest. Evil Eye with the snapshot turns around. Now this card is getting dangerously close.
This is actually kind of impressive in multiple fronts for me. I didn't think Sanguine would, one, collapse this much, but Snappin' would have this much pushing power. But it just feels like this Fernando, especially right now, is just not up to the task of surviving through a lot of this onslaught of damage from Snappin'.
Oh, Gogurt may have kept his team in it with the double kill, but the rest of the damage from Snappin' is more than enough. And Sanguine go down 2. Woodknock here on the mid. Some great plays to really lock down this first point. And you know, I was curious. We didn't see a lot of Inara over in Brazil. Inara's kind of in an interesting sort of flex point, I think, one way or the other. But look at what Woodknock is doing. 4-1 and 8 and third highest damage in the game.
After 2 games on Inara where you haven't been able to get a lot done, that is almost exactly what you need, right? You're finally able to just sit back, crack your knuckles, maybe relax, but I don't know if that slash line is resembling someone who is relaxing in their gameplay. He's getting aggressive. He's driving things forward. It's something we've seen, equitable to Ovim's play, in the past that we've seen on Inara when he was the frontline for Chroma Space, something that he's been able to do as a kind of driving force for them. Oh, you see Woodknock pick up here, although Woodknock definitely helping him even further. Now you get rid of Gogurt at the beginning of the round. It feels good so far for Snappin'.
Gore, we've only seen lopsided matchups up to this point here in this set, and now it's Snappin's turn maybe to start to be the driving force in these games. Stigma rolls through a couple of kills here, and now it's really just one left alive. Reincarnated, well-timed grab on that shoulder bash. Counters out one or the other. Now it's Quick. Last one alive here. Gonna get staggered out even before he's able to contest any of that time. Poison might just have to throw his body down onto the pile here. Snappin', they re-engage up on the high ground. Double dash away from the Androxus. Dread Serpent onto the low ground. That's well placed, but can Sanguine capitalize? Not just yet. Reincarnated has gotten the kill. Down goes Hero, and Baller Steve falls as well. Overtime expires. Gore in 5 minutes. Snappin' are pushing for the win.
I mean, this is, again, a very solid turnaround for them. But I think maybe more indicative of what I was saying, and right now it feels like maybe both of these squads fall into the category of they're either popping or not, Like either they're in here slaughtering you like it's a 4-0, or their back's against the wall and they don't know how to get back in the game. And right now, unfortunately for Sanguine, I don't have many ways to paint them in a bright light that can get them back in this game. Immortal's not available. Dread Serpent's not available. Assert Dominance is the closest as of right now. I think Andro Poison should charge his up a little bit faster. But neither of those are going to really pull this back in their favor. This is looking great for Snappin', and if they get through this archway, Dave, it might just be done.
Gore, it does seem that way. 5 members on Snappin' on streaks here. Seismic Crash to the high ground could really seal the deal here. There's a Whirlwind. There's an Overpower as well. Snappin' inching their way closer to pulling at least one game now in this set. Overpower connects onto Gogurt, off to the side. Strix tossed aside like yesterday's newspaper. It's a double kill for Stigma. Dash away now, but not far enough from Hero. Snappin' with the near clean sweep. Poison will fall, and so will Sanguine. Snappin' with the fast 4-0.
Hey, if I'm going to give credit to anybody there, I think a lot of people on Snappin' look great. It's Woodknock, though. Like, hand down, he is just driving force on this Inara. I mean, at the very end, that Seismic Crash is the reason they're able to get all those kills and continue walking that forward. I think otherwise we do see Sanguine at least putting up some fights. There's a lot more bumps in the road. Stigma's 10-1 and 14. Reincarnated 6-1 and 12. Bones doesn't die at 2-0 and 24. But Woodnock 7-1 and 13. Maybe I'm biased because I love frontliners, but I think Woodnock, especially with the ults and Reincarnated, were really the ones that helped drive this forward.
I want to see where those damage numbers ended up as well for Woodnock. 33,000.
Yeah.
Third highest in the game behind Gogurt and Stigma as well. Of course, Stigma's going to be doing the most damage there. Bones as well, about 20,000 damage higher than Baller Steve. Woodnock and the rest of the front line, I think here were a big driving force for Snappin' in this game. Gogurt, Gore, I do think found some value as far as pure damage numbers go. But Sanguine, not much of a leg to stand on, and that'll push us onto Bright Marsh. Another one of those maps similar to Jaguar Falls where Torvald Sky-type compositions could work.
I mean, that one, that's about as good of a reply as you can get, right? You've been stomped, then stomped, and the only way to really punch back is to stomp again. The problem, like you said, and I think it is always worth mentioning, you win one on Stone Keep, do you just push us to a map 4? Do you win this one, push us to a map 5? Or can you win this set? Can you win 3 in a row? That's the hard part in sets like this. But granted, normally I'm talking about that because it's like, man, you've lost 4-0, 4-1, and then you won 4-3, right? You won a very close, narrow win. So what did you, like, did you really get it there, or were you just kind of lucky stars aligned at the end? When it happens like this, you never know what's going to happen for the rest of the set. We could still see Snappin' pull off a reverse sweep just through pure 4-0s for the rest of the day.
Yeah, no clue. Couldn't tell you what the end of this set is going to look like. Snappin' with as good of an answer back as you can find. About a 6-minute game on Stone Keep, about as quick as they come there. Vivian is going to get banned out this time. Worked wonders for Snappin' there in Game 3, but I think smart. Don't want to tangle with that one here on Bright Marsh. Rom as well going to continue to find that ban column. So Sanguine, I think, knowing quite well what they don't want to deal with. Now Snappin' in a bit of a tough spot where Genos has been that popular first answer if left open, and maybe that's a good enough pick here for Sanguine to go to. That being said, a lot of damage dealers still to be found here depending on what type of composition you want to build around.
I mean, Torvald open.
Torvald, right?
Genos open, Bomb King open. I'm sensing a trifecta here for Sanguine that I got to see last week. Last week, it was probably one of the most fun games that I've gotten to watch in Paladins in a long time. Like, I just got to the point where I couldn't focus on what was going on in the game because I was having fun watching the Bomb King start to blow everybody up. So I would wonder if Sanguine want to run something like that back. Snappin' need to pull one of those 3 factors away, otherwise I would not be surprised to see him lock them up the minute they get the chance.
And Nara taken away. Maybe not in the cards for Sanguine anyway. Victor, though, hovering right around that 70% win rate. Still a very, very strong pick. I think smart now for Snappin'. We're talking about what Sanguine could build, but what Snappin' are building around is this Victor who definitely can find those angles here on Bright Marsh, depending on where you want to position yourself. The writing is here, though, Gormiser. Genos locked in. Now a Torvald. Still a Bomb King hovering around the corner. It'd be strong for Sanguine if they choose to go that route here. And at that point, you wonder what the answer is. Gormiser's happy about it. Genos, Torvald, BK. The decimation potential as it may be in an all-time high.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and sit back for the next few minutes. At this point, man, Sanguine, they've got everything they need. I don't care about the rest of the draft. Don't care. Like, this game is going to be 8 minutes of fun.
Do you think that Victor has enough damage to work his way through a Genos, Torvalded Bomb King? Maybe is it still the same vibe as the game goes on? Maybe Wrecker, maybe Cauterize is online, and that's your best bet?
So, using all of the information I have, no.
That's true.
But I do think it's going to be a little bit closer. Again, it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. The longer the game goes, the worse off it's going to be for the Bomb King, but it's going to be quite literally an explosive early round that it should get Sanguine off to such a good start that things are going to be in their favor. I think if Victor gets Barrage up, so we're talking round 2, that's when things start to shift. That's when Bomb King is going to be in big trouble because that barrage is going to be able to drop down and cause some trouble and just straight up kill him for the most part. Now with Koga, he's kind of the only good target for it too. I mean, him and Barrick are the only ones that can receive that because Koga's going to be able to immune out of it. Torvald's going to be too tanky, and Genos, yeah, you can kill him, but he's not going to be the root of the problem. You need to get rid of the DPS. I'm leaning towards Sanguine, even though I don't like Barrick. I'm leaning towards Sanguine because I've seen what Hero can do on this pick in the past, so I'm giving him the credit.
I'm glad you point that out there. Solo tank Barrick is tough. Some of the sustain now missing from this pick, but I do
my man Dirty Torvald's still a front line. Come on, technically.
I mean, yeah, I guess, right? I mean, so a hybrid front line. He's an off tank, but in the wrong direction. He's an off tank, but like also sits further
Support,
back. I'm not sure. He's not gonna be doing much point standing, I don't think, throughout this game. If you've gotten to that point, you're probably not in a great spot anyway. Bright Marsh will be the decider here on whether or not we go on to a Game 5 or Sanguine close us out. They've got the fun factor, Sanguine do, through and through. They've got the damage factor, absolutely. So I think the onus is on the Sanguine squad to perform with the composition built around blowing the enemy team out early.
Yeah, this is roll back to Jaguar Falls. This is that draft, but I think a little better because it's not Sky, it's Bomb King that's going to be able to match it. And I think this is going to be at least fun to watch. Evil Eye goes back to this Cassie. Didn't necessarily have a great game, didn't have a bad game on the last map. And when the rest of your team is having stellar games, though, that does start to make a difference. But watch Bomb King. Not necessarily here. This is going to be good damage, and you can see the damage amp, I think, playing its role. But watch him when King Bomb comes up. That's really when you're going to see the difference. Right. He'll start channeling it, Torvald will hit him with a bubble, and then he will zoom faster than Sonic the Hedgehog forward.
Oh, Poison Poppy bombs his way into the back line. It is enough to force out that rewind from the Atlas on the front line. So we take a quick pause before jumping back in, Gore. And already, I think you can see the respect that has to be paid. It's an Atlas Cassie going up against a Torvald Bomb King right off the bat. And there was almost no pushback from Snappin' on that left-hand perspective side of the map. Makes you wonder what the answer is going to be down the stretch here. Maybe a slight overextension from Poison opens up a crossfire angle from a Victor. I mean, those small things might add up. But immediately, the positional advantage goes over to Sanguine.
Yeah, Apartments is almost always dominated. If Bomb King's in the map, he should have the win over here. And so this isn't too surprising to me to see that control. It's the other side of the map. You know, I give Hero credit because his Barrick has been good in the past, but that's the only one, well, that and the Koga now, that have died.
Well, that's a soft 3 for Poison now. Woodknock's still alive, so some point to be garnered now by Snappin', but gonna get melted away. Nearly took Baller Steve with him. So I think smart play here from Woodknock just to extend things out, but now heavily staggered as Sanguine able to regain control of this point. Still catching up to what Sanguine have been able to build, but they're fighting into an established positionally established Sanguine squad, and that's why Stigma ends up going down here. Here's the King Bomb. Let's see what he can do. Drops down some of the damage, but the CC immunity from Woodknock will shrug most of it off there. Look at the sticky bombs building their way up, the setback through. But Sanguine, they're fighting the important fight on the point. Snappin', they're still trying to get kills on the left.
I mean, yeah, Snappin' at this point, I think their easiest targets, depending on where the focus is for the Torvald, is going to be Koga, or, well, unfortunately, Hero, right there, who goes down. If they can get rid of Quick, then I think it's going to make things a little bit easier for him. But Poison doesn't seem to be slowing down too much. They're also not going quite as fast as they were able to achieve last week. And so it's not as ludicrously in their favor. But they're still finding some really good kills here for Sanguine. They should have lost all point pressure here. And that's going to be a good shot!
Baller Steve from range knocks down a couple. That's Bones and Evil Eye, who walk face first into a whole mess of damage from Sanguine. Now with 3 minutes on the clock, Snappin' all the way back in base. Woodknock needs to be careful here. That damage definitely can pile up quickly if you take a little bit too much of it on the chin. Quick trying to lock down Atlas here. Dome Shield drop down by Hero. That's going to force Snappin' back just a little bit. Poison opens things up with a double kill, but Stigma from the high ground will answer back with one of his own. No more Bomb King. But instead now it's Gogurt who receives most of that extra damage boost down on the left-hand side. He's got the kill onto Woodknock, and the cart will continue to inch in.
As long as it's moving, you're having a good time. Again, it's so difficult because I wanted to say something nice. I was trying to say something nice about Barrick, and then the minute someone looks at him, he dies because he's so frail as a tank. Man, so all of the good things I was going to say are now replaced by my Barrick hate rant that I'm trying to stifle. But I'm curious about this pick for Sanguine. I think it vibes pretty well with a Yanis or Genos and a Torvald here. Doing too many games, man. It's starting to burn my brain together. The Genos does always well with Torvald and Barrick. I think they completely meld together. But he's just not as good anymore. I mean, you really are relying on your support and, I guess, technically off-tank support to keep you alive.
Wood knock. Once he falls to Baller Steve, no real question whether or not Sanguine are going to be able to walk that one in. A little bit of pushback, though to be expected maybe here on Bright Marsh. The high ground damage from Stigma, definitely hard to lock down. Evil Eye right there in that conversation as well. But now snapping. One cap and push away. And Sanguine are going to be able to take this set away. No chance from for a comeback, rather, for snapping. Start to look. Stigma's already had to kind of half his build here. A couple into the Cauterize, one into the Wrecker. So those shields still going to be plenty healthy enough, though Stigma is going to help out a little bit extra going into this next mid-fight.
It's all on Stigma, though, right? I mean, that Wrecker one being there, I think is going to be good, but is it going to be enough is the question. I think most of his focus has been over there towards the Barrick, and I mean, consistently he's shut down Hero. It's not hard. He's playing Barrick, so it's going to be easy to get that pick. It's finding anything afterward that's going to be the difficult part. The DPS on this squad are just tanky enough and realistically can kill you fast enough that they're going to be able to win that.
Evil Eye was one. Oh man, Gogurt somehow turns around the damage from across the back there. Evil Eye missing just a few pivotal shots. Poison's gonna King Bomb his way right through Reincarnated. Gogurt still alive is now gonna run down Stigma. Bones drops. Evil Eye, he's on the back pedal. Snapping did a good job with Fast Cap, getting themselves to 42%, but Sanguine find the fight they want.
I mean, they're going to be able to find not only the fight they want, but the pressure they want afterward. I mean, look at Poison. No lapse in judgment as to where he's getting aggressive to. Already up there. And look, right behind him is the walking bubble himself, Torvald, that's making sure he stays forward. I think this is just going to be maybe enough of a collapse. That's a good seismic crash to turn things right back on its head.
93%, you've got to get in if you're Sanguine. 99. Oh no, you win the fight! But you don't have the legs to get a touch onto the point. It's even a dome shield from Hero used. So suddenly when it looked like Sanguine were maybe going to fall by the wayside to snapping, not only do they capture the point score, but they get some important trades on the back end to maybe get the payload rolling.
I mean, now, I was going to say this is the point where snapping, take that first win and they just stand here. They make their hold against a 3-0 team, against a team that right now is admittedly just playing Bright Marsh pretty much to the best of their ability, and not only to the best of their ability, but their draft plays it well, and it's causing a lot of trouble. And honestly, Dave, I don't like highlighting. I want to keep it positive, but I will highlight when you get shots like Evil Eye had in that last engagement, or at least the 1v1 there against the Koga at range, and Koga turns the damage around. That's usually indicative of why Sanguine are able to keep rolling forward. At least as of right now, they're hitting their shots a little bit cleaner.
Oh no, Gogurt now has a good opportunity to pull back one with his ultimate. It's going to get locked in. Receives some shielding and some healing. This is the best look, though, at a defensive stand by Snappin'. And this is where it was last time as well, Gore. Poison will end up going down. But it was really that high ground on the backside without much pressure being returned onto them. Of course, Stigma, Evil Eye doing a lot of the damage from there. So still tough. Still a tall task now for Sanguine to break their way through. The last time, maybe a Hyper Beam, a King Bomb, a through time and space will make the big difference. This time around, no ultimates in the 2-for-1 trade. Grenade from Stigma will not connect for the kill. Neither will the through time and space. It looks like Snappin' for the moment have done enough to keep Sanguine right where they are.
Now you're in a good spot. You get a kill immediately to open this up. King Bomb's ready, which I think is the one that really enables this. You can see that move speed as well. Whenever Torvald throws out that bubble, just watch how fast they're going to start zooming. Because I anticipate this ult is about to come online, or not even come online. It's already online. it's about to make the difference. I think with Poison's positioning right there, as long as he doesn't go below half health, we can have one good King Bomb, and that honestly might just end the game.
That's right, Poison carries that weight with him for sure. Cart rolling itself into overtime. We will go here. Stigma left unchecked on the high ground will spell danger for Sanguine for sure. As the cart continues its long march in. Hero unfortunately going down. Now it is Torvald to bring up tanking duties. Poison poppy bombs his way into the back, but left alone here. He will go down, and Snappin' have found the kills to force us to the next mid-fight.
They took out the supporting beams that were keeping Bomb King propped up. But again, you know, all the things I said about that ending fast, or what should have ended fast in my mind, just apply to the point fight. I think comeback mechanic maybe is a good balancing factor here for Snappin'. But they haven't really done anything that has convinced me a comeback mechanic point fight is going to be the end-all be-all for them in terms of getting their feet right back into this game. They are doing what we were talking about earlier. Map 2, Jag Falls, as well as the beginning of this map. They've prolonged the game. They've got Cauterize, mostly online, Tier 2 at the minimum there for Evil Eye and Woodknock. They've got 2 Tier 2 Wreckers online as well. Morale boost there for Bones to make sure that you keep this ult up. I think in terms of CC immunity, as well as terms of shield and healing, shredding potential, Snappin' have pretty much everything you could hope for, and they have 5 ults to try and play into this as well.
Whoa! Poison up and over. It's a big-time King Bomb. Deletes Bones and locks down Evil Eye on the side, but it's not enough just yet to give Sanguine the full-on advantage. Enough pushback from Snappin' keeps him in the fight, but suddenly Gogurt left free and clear to walk his way into the back line. Setback won't connect onto the Koga here. Evil Eye left in a one-on-one scenario. It's now the Exiles that connect onto Gogurt to slow down his onslaught. Snappin' have to back themselves away as Sanguine respawn.
Reincarnated dumps 2 extra shots, but I didn't see him connect there, so the Exile maybe not finding all of the potential that it could throughout all of that. Atlas now not having his ult. Nobody on Snap and having it. Meanwhile, Baller Steve, that's what the 3rd one that I've seen this game that's been able to find a kill. He's on point with these shots.
And Gore, that's on Stigma as well. The rest of the fight might as well fall by the wayside. Evil Eye, no more damage left in the fight now for Snap, and it's a double kill for Poison. Sanguine,
Hyper Beam.
They're going to run away with this mid-fight and run away with the set.
It wasn't as bouncy and Bomb King-centric as I thought it was going to be, but it was still just as fun, I think, watching them get this draft that pulls them together. You get to see the elements that slowly put together. I think Snappin' have a good fight back to make sure that Sanguine don't just roll over them the way I saw Bomb King roll over their opponent last week. But Poison's still 17-6 and 8, still a very big factor. 9-3-27 there for Baller Steve. Huge impact from the support. Several times he was able to hit those ults. You know, as much as I think Gogurt, Poison, as well as their combo behind them were facilitating not only the damage, but the kills that come out, and really the, you know, leading factors in why they won, because look at it, 101 and 102,000 damage. I think you have to put a lot of respect there for Baller Steve. I mean, being able to find the kills that he did when he did on those ults really did open up the opportunity for Sanguine at the very end, as well as several times throughout those rounds. So I think just good ults from him to be able to pick up those kills.
I think, you know, Sanguine, maybe more so than any other team in North America, are going to be the ones to capitalize on this re-rise of Torvald now that he's viable over in North America. They love these offensive, in-your-face style of drafts, and they make it work here against Snap, and that'll put themselves now in sole possession of second place. The wins and losses are the same. The plus-minus is the difference maker now for Sanguine. Pickled Pepper still on top. They've got a matchup against Flashpoint. Definitely no pushover there. But what a day over here in to start off Week 7, Gore. That Clown Fiesta Yoinkers matchup over in Europe was a blast to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that one ended up being about 2 hours on its own. Great play, I think, from both of those teams, as well as good showings. I think North America and Brazil both kind of showcasing where these teams are ending up, because some of them have had some question marks thrown around them. Carnage Gaming there in Brazil, here, Sanguine being able to kind of prove themselves and jump up a couple spots in the standings. I think over the next couple of days we'll get to see where Project are standing, where Flashpoint are standing, just to make sure that maybe there's still some heat checks going on in North America before we start seeing what is usually that divide that we get towards the last few weeks of the phase.
I agree. Right now, a lot is muddled except for maybe the one top team here in each region. It's a great time to be a fan of the PPC. Lots of contested matchups to be sure, but that's it for this Thursday broadcast of the Paladins Pro Circuit. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. I believe broadcast goes live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Paladins game channel, so make sure to tune back in. We got 4 matches for you guys tomorrow, so plenty of competitive Paladins action. But on behalf of myself, Gormizer, Kresnik, Finch, everyone back in production, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.